B-grade, punk rock, street trash, Wastelands. And here are your hosts, longtime partners in slime, Adam Obscene and Mark.
Hello, listeners and listeners. This is Wastelands, and I'm Adam Obscene. And not with me tonight is Marco Mark, because unfortunately he's had some interweb problems. Now, this has been the first time in almost 3 years where we haven't been able to dial in, but we will persevere. And you never know, you might pop up in the middle of the show because we have got the link live. We promised something on Thursday about diving into the annals of Studio Obscenito to dig out 3 classic films of schlocky goodness to talk about. And you know what? I've done it. And guess what? Here's the first one.
When it comes to intergalactic confrontation, no one can beat Chef Ramsay.
Excellent work, Ramsay.
So what's next?
Why don't you try relaxing?
But now he's about to land in a place even he isn't prepared for. Suburbia.
Get to know the locals. Blend in.
How do you know which ones are the right ones?
You have to squeeze it a bit.
Wow. I was frozen today!
Suburban Commando.
Suburban Commando from 1991, starring the Hulkster. And look, Marco, you've just joined us while I'm mid-programming, so welcome, Marco. This is actually pretty amazing.
Hello. Man, oh man.
What you've just missed is the trailer for Suburban Commando, which I pulled off the shelf of Studio Obscenito.
Oh, fantastic. Tell us about Suburban Commando, mate. That's what I feel like right now. I feel like a suburban commando hiding in the bushes trying to get my internet to work.
Well, I did warn the listeners that you were struggling with the internet connection and that you might be popping up mid-show, and with like a perfectly poised plot device, it's come true. So what I'm basically about to do is give the vitals of Suburban Commando. So Suburban Commando is a 1991 film, classic sort of family-friendly actioner. Has an interstellar hero from a distant planet who visits Earth and tries to fit in with the mundane yet kind suburban family. This movie's interesting because it looks like it should punch well above its weight. It stars Hulk Hogan, and he is just doing Hulk Hogan things like being monstrous and walking around the community, and it's kind of like a typical fish out of water sort of trope, Marco, because he's sort of like doing all these vignettes of looking muscly, walking down, skateboarding and falling over, and just this movie's made up of it goes for an hour and 30 minutes, but I reckon 30 minutes of it is actually plot and the other is just interesting, funny vignettes of Hulk Hogan just doing weird shit in banal bloody suburbia.
Yeah. It's like the man who walks among us.
Totally.
Man, wow, imagine Hulk Hogan coming into my Trader Joe's.
Yeah, and it's sort of like there's in the trailer I just played before, it's like these thugs, he confronts these thugs in an alleyway and he sort of says, they go, "Do you know what we're going to do to you?" And he goes, "Let me guess, you're going to pound me and rip my arms off." And the thug goes, "No, man, this is the 90s. We're going to sue you."
Suburban Commando.
It's really fun. It kind of, I don't know if this is real, but it kind of feels like the rest of it's actually got a pretty great cast. The cast has actually got Christopher Lloyd in it as the kindly sort of Charlie Wilcox, he's the dad, and Shelley Duvall, who is the mum. Now, at the time, pretty big actors. This is Christopher Lloyd had just come off the back of Back to the Future 3. So, he's not, it's not like some weird B-grade movie, which makes me think that it possibly was probably a vehicle for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they couldn't get him.
So they put the Hulk in there instead.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but it sort of feels like the treatment of it kind of feels like that kindergarten cop, twins kind
Ah.
of sort of fish out of water kind of thing. But
Ah,
they've just put the
yeah,
Hulkster
yeah.
in it instead. So
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I like
Makes
it.
sense.
Look. I'm just. Oh, look at this. Let me
It's
just.
a cashing in movie.
Oh, I've just scrolled down into some trivia. Originally titled Urban Commando, intended for Danny DeVito as Charlie Wilcock and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Shep Ramsey. When these
Chef
two
Ramsey?
yeah, so that's the guy who is the Hulk Hogan character. It says here, but the two opted to make twins instead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
And apparently Schwarzenegger got a really good deal, a once-in-a-lifetime deal with that movie financially. So, of course, he's going to say yes.
Yeah, so there you go. My gut instinct was correct on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Apparently, all the gun props from this movie were also from Masters of the Universe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it actually, what's interesting about it, I'll get away from the IMDb facts, but one fact I do know, it's actually the first time we see The Undertaker from WWE on screen versus Hulk Hogan's character. So The Undertaker is actually the bad bounty hunter. So like 2 years before those two face off in the World Wrestling Federation, they face off in this movie. So that's something there for you bloody wrestling nerds.
There must be wrestling fanatics who just absolutely love this movie. It's part of a prized part of their collection, you know?
I wonder. It's like the Hulk's like the film career is kind of hit and miss too, so I'm not sure. What is interesting about this one, just as a final note before we jump on to the next one, is that this film was directed by old school Hollywood royalty. Like the director was responsible for lots of John Wayne westerns and really. Burt Kennedy was his name, and this was his last film. So you got to wonder, what this he's had a stellar career in directing some really great,
He's like just direct
films.
this one last thing.
Yeah,
he probably made a heap of money out of it too.
Yeah, and I think if they brought because I think if you think of it as a vehicle that it was going to be Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They probably had, and Christopher Lloyd. They brought Christopher Lloyd in instead of Danny DeVito, so they were sort of still pitching it to be a box office monster. And Burt Kennedy was in there. It was written by this guy Frank A. Capello. Now he apparently shopped it around, and it didn't go, and he got sort of disconnected from it. But right back towards the end of he went on set and he got to direct some of the vignette stuff, the funny bits and pieces to sort of the fish out of water. So he got a co-directing sort of credit on it, which I think is interesting because it sort of feels like that the classic directors kind of just dialed it in, and then they've brought the writer back in who really knows the topic.
Yep.
To really, and to be honest, my favorite part of the film is all those weird fish out of water bits. The best one is, and this will be my last bit, I promise, is when for some reason Hulk Hogan comes across a mime in an alley who's behind a skip, and he goes up, "Hey brother, what's going on? It looks like you're stuck in a 4-7 force field," and then he goes, "Don't worry, I'll get you out," and he punches goes to punch the force field, and then smacks out the mime and goes, "You're welcome."
Oh no!
So that's the quality. Boom, ching, ching. So yeah, that's great. I got that one. Yeah, it's on VHS. It's sitting here in Studio Obscenito. Come around if you want to watch it anytime, listeners. Now, next one. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's play this trailer.
In the future, warriors are genetically bred, and their weapons, high-tech behemoths of destruction. Robot Jocks is an action-filled special effects tour de force from Stuart Gordon, the maker of Reanimator and reigning king of the cult horror film.
Wow, that was a great little intro. So this is Robot Jocks. Robot Jocks is kind of like a post-apocalyptic film. It's basically 50 years after World War III, Earth is divided into two massive subcontinents, and they don't actually have wars anymore. They just have dudes in giant robot suits beating the shit out of each other. So just think of Audi brand Pacific Rim, or sort of those big Japanese monster movies done kind of badly with American actors. It's got this weird thing in it where they're called Robo Jocks because they're like the jockeys of giant robots. And yeah, so
They're not robot jocks that go, I do want rules.
No, that's what you would think, eh? But they do have a little bit of that sportsy,
little bit of that
sort of mentality in there. But no, they're kind of like the dude. So in Distant Future, mankind has forsaken global battles, and now they just put these guys in robots to fight. So it stars Gary Graham as Achilles, who fights for the Americans, and Paul Koslow, who is Alexander, who fights for, I guess, the Russians. And so it's got this sort of post-Cold War sort of vibe about it. It was in 1989. It goes for an hour and 25 minutes and doesn't make a lick of sense, but is kind of fun. The one thing I've got to say about this one, which is disappointing, is if you're going into a giant robot fighting movie, you're really expecting to see giant robots fight, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
There's very little robot fights in this. It's actually more about the robot jocks being lifted into the robots.
Oh shit. So so they couldn't afford the budget for the actual big robot showdowns.
Yeah, it's like they used up a lot of the animations for some, like they got about 5 minutes of scenes in, and then they go, yeah, well that's that budget done.
Oh yeah. Well, just do what all the others do and just replay those scenes over and over. Wasn't it Mega Shark or something where they played the
same shot over and over?
Yeah.
So this was actually directed by Stuart Gordon, and they did mention it in the trailer just then. Stuart Gordon did The Reanimator, which is great. I love that film. And From Beyond, which is also a really awesome film. And Fortress with Christopher Lambert, which sort of...
Cool.
So it's got some schlockiness in there.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and unfortunately, I also did Space Truckers, which is horribly bad. And the remake of Body Snatchers, but got awesome credentials as a schlocky B grade director. Mate, I've got this next one is very close to my heart.
What have you got?
I'm gonna look. I couldn't find a trailer because it's really, really fucking obscure. And this is why I think it's good it's almost a public service announcement. And to be honest, mate, I think when you get back up here, we will sit down and watch this on VHS and do a full-length episode. But right now, I'm just going to play some clips of it. This is Gavin Wood. Now, people probably don't know Gavin Wood, but he's sort of like the voiceover guru of Australian television, like Price is Right and all, and Sale of the Century, and we sort of did the voiceover stuff for Molly Meldrum on Countdown. The Countdown tonight. Countdown. So this guy stars in this movie, and I've just found some clips of his like stellar scripting. Listen to this. Behold.
Out in the deep where giant man-eating blue and purple trout catch all the tourists unawares. Oh my God! Set director, what's his name? Grant Evans, wanking as usual. Look at him. I don't know, carrying on, showing off at his usual style.
Choose a boat, any boat.
Unbelievable. You guys were great at the disco the other night. Your song's really going to work, mate.
I've got to get out of this business. I'm struggling like a slave.
Well, that's what it is, you know. It's fantasy on stage, reality off. You probably need a new direction. Do you need a new manager?
What? Shit!
How Aussie is that?
What the?
Mate,
That sounds like there's a bit of slap and tickle involved there, Ad. What kind of shenanigans are you playing at?
This sort of shenanigans is this classic Ozploitation film called Houseboat Horror.
Oh, dearie me.
Houseboat Horror. Now, this is a recommendation, and I have gone and pulled it off the shelf, but it was actually from, we did a call out and said to the listeners, mention to us what, give us some comments about what you want to see, and our mate Jez has gone do Houseboat Horror, and I went, you know what? Okay.
Can do.
So Houseboat Horror is, it's basically a zany romp direct-to-video Australian film that
hello.
which was made in or released in 1989. It goes for an hour and 25 minutes. It's a rowdy rock group are accompanied by a film crew to desolate Lake Infinity to produce a music video. Sort of sounds like every rock movie we've ever talked about on this show. One night the musicians visit the local pub while various members of the film crew are sort of partying on. They get ticked off one by one.
Right.
And on a luxurious houseboat they're staying in, they fail to notice a lunatic has snuck aboard the boat.
If you do.
Slaughtering them in
Lunatic? That's Ian Turpie.
Ian Turpie. So, talk about Australian goodness. This film has Alan Dale in it. Australians will know Alan Dale as Jim Robinson from Neighbours back in the day. I think he might have had a stint on LA Law for our stateside listeners. It's also, remember the drummer from Hey Hey It's Saturday back in the olden days? Animal?
Animal.
Yeah, so he Des McKenna, who known as Animal with Red Simons and Wilbur Wyatt. So he's in this. And you know that really campy film reviewer, John Michael Housen?
Oh, yes.
He's in
Hollywood
this.
John Michael Housen.
He's in this.
Oh, God.
So and Gavin Wood. So it has a distinctly Hey Hey It's Saturday feel about it. Listeners, Hey Hey It's Saturday, if you don't know, was this Saturday night variety show in Australia, which was Bad News Bears.
It got panned. Look, overseas listeners, Google Daryl and Aussie, Ozzzy. Daryl and Aussie, you have been warned.
So, basically, Houseboat Horror, it's, like I said, it's a sight to behold and fun. Ooh. And I'm so stoked that I actually have it on
got it on VHS.
I think I may have, to be honest, I might have got it from Trash Video when Trash Video closed up. So, went in there and grabbed some gems. So there you go, Jez. We're not going to spoil it too much. We'll talk deeper into that one. But Houseboat Horror is suitably rubbish and fun, and probably more famously known for remember the D Generation when they did the Late Show.
Oh yes.
They used to do forgotten classics of cinema, and the guy who did it, who his name is, I can't remember, he used to do the stuff with Mick Malloy. But he used to host this little like Tony Martin, his name, sorry, popped in, mate. He did these little these little peaks, and he did Houseboat Horror on that show. And I think that's how I actually discovered it from that. He also does a really great review of Jaws the Revenge, which is quite funny as well. And what was really great about Tony Martin's
Tony Martin,
Tony Martin's reviews is he would give the films ratings out of Dolph Lundgren's. So 5 out of 5 Dolph Lundgren's. So
That's a lot of Dolph Lundgrens.
Yeah, so great. So 5 out of 5 Dolph Lundgrens from Tony Martin, and I think it has a rating of 3.8 out of 10 on IMDb. With 280 reviews, so
Oh,
the
Lord.
listeners can't be long. Marco, what a weird episode. Fun episode, great episode.
I came in just at the right time. I got to listen and participate without having to do anything really. I'm in a very privileged position.
Well, Marco, it's been awesomely fun. This is it's funny. It's a weird situation when you go into a show thinking that you're going to be flying Han Solo without a Chewbacca.
Yep. Oh, and here I come. Well, I just had to shut down and start both my phone and my computer like 3 or 4 times just to make it work.
Well, that's what happens when you broadcast from a submarine on an atoll in the middle of the Pacific.
Well, that's right. I could get no internet atoll.
And on that note, young man, is there anything more you'd like to add?
Get me off this atoll.
It's good night from me.
It's good night from him and this atoll.
Before you say another word,
It's over! It's finished!